So welcome everybody to the NAU Country Connection webinar. Here's our agenda. Like I said, we're really gonna kind of focus in on acreage entry and acreage import within EasyWriter Pro. So we're gonna go over some of the functionality in EASYmapping and acreage entry, quick FTF, and a few different importing options. Also something to save time for agents. If you have companion policies, you've got the companion policy transfer. We'll go over that and how to view missing acreage on your dashboard. And then as time allows, at the end, Hope is got some good stuff ready as far as field insights and our smart sign and mobile. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. Here's EasyWriter Pro. I'm already in the policy that I wanted to look at here. And before we even tackle anything that's really acreage related, I just kind of thought about things that I wanted to share at a large scale, because I know there's a lot of people on here. And when you are looking at all of your units right here in this section here, there's a lot of good information as when you look at these columns up on top. And I'm sure some of you know this and some of you don't, but you have control over what you see in these columns. So I should probably say what I'm doing. When you hover your mouse over here, over the column headers, and you can see these little kind of funnels pulling up, you can do a right click, and then I'm going to look at my show column chooser here. So you can see these are all the different columns that we have. So you can pick and choose what you want to see, what you don't want to see. And what I like about it also is you can change. So here, let's just, here's the legals. We have those here. And if I just uncheck, they disappear. So if you were looking at your screen like this and we're missing those legals and you wanted to see them, you can just add them back in with this column chooser. And then on top of that, it's so customizable. So you can pick what you want to see. And then you can also pick the order you want to see it. Where is my approved yield? Okay, here's approved yield. This is one I like because it's kind of been a recent add somewhat. So this I can see is checked. So I know it's already here, but I don't know where it is. Oh, it's right here. But you can move this anywhere you want. This one and any other ones. And oh, I see a question. It asks if it does save on the policy. It does. It does save on the policy. And how I know that for sure is because I did these things yesterday and I see that they're right where they were before. So that's a really good question. Thanks for asking that. You don't have to keep doing this each time. The reason I like the approved yield one is because I can get a real nice sense of all of my units right here. We used to have to kind of click one by one and look at it on the grid, but now you could see your approved yields all over, all in one glance. I want to see this whole chat. One question. Okay. Does it only save on the policy you are in or any policy that you'll go into? It would be any policy that you go into. It's going to save your preferences at your login level. So you'll see the same stuff on all the policies that you enter or that you look at. You're welcome, Jennifer. So that was kind of my little spiel about the column chooser here. I just think it's really neat, and I know not everybody knows that, so I wanted to touch on that. So now we'll head back to acreage entry. So I'm just going to go into our EasyMapping icon right here, and that's going to take me into EasyMapping. I apologize, this is the demo system, so it's just a little bit slower. I'm waiting for the map detail to pop up here. While we're waiting for that though, there was just a couple of items that I wanted to touch on in this hamburger menu here up at the top left. It's like the 3 boxes and 3 lines, we call it our hamburger menu. If anyone is getting on these connections calls, Tim went over a lot of these in really good detail. I'm just going to pick and choose a couple of them here that I thought would be good to go over again. This is another way to customize what you see. So similar to that column chooser I just kind of went over, you can also pick and choose what you want to see on your EasyMapping labels. And then see here, these preferences you can actually set by agency, by user, or by policy. So if you like what you like and you want it on all of your policies, I would go ahead and just update them here. And if you wanted it policy specific, you could just do policy by policy. And then it gives you a nice preview down here too, so you can see just what those field labels are going to look like. You can also head over and look at policy documents here. So this is just the same policy document screen as you would see if you went to it other ways. EasyWriter Pro is just really nice, and I love it that there's more than one way to view things. So I just went into that little hamburger menu and wanted to look at what's been printed on this policy. So if you just wanted to know, hey, have we ran an acreage report yet, or have we ran an APH yet? You can go and look at all your printed documents, and then you can also, add documents from in there too, right within EASYmapping in this little menu here. And then the next one is the screenshot document, which we're still not getting any mapping in here, but you can do a screenshot document, which I like to use for written agreements sometimes. I know that sometimes written agreements, well, all the time, written agreements require maps with the field boundaries. Sometimes they even need nearby road names so that the RMA can pinpoint where that is. And in some cases, it might be just not possible to go to FSA to get the most recent maps. So you can just run a screenshot from right within there. I think I'm just going to try to hop in here again because we need to see the maps here. There we go. This looks much better. All right. Great. All right. So here's a screenshotted document. It's really the only information that it's really showing is a screenshot of your map that you would want to see. So of course you could zoom in just order section, whatever you wanted to do. And then the last one, I just even order products right in here. So if you click on the order products, it's going to take you to our supply ordering system. Do that again right here. So you can start a new order, map books, or any other type of order that you want to do. Like I said, on other things, there's other ways to get to this, but you sure can just jump right in through EASYmapping. Okay. So those are just a few of the little options that I wanted to go through over here, and we're going to come back to this hamburger menu in a bit when I show you the import prior year acreage. But for right now, what I'm going to do is just see I'm on the Fields tab currently, and we're ready to enter some acreage. So I'm just going to hop over here to the Acreage tab. And I picked this policy because it's got a little bit of high risk and a little bit of non-high risk. So I like to show these types of policies. So if you are in an area that does have high risk, you can see how beneficial it is to have the visual look at this policy. So here we're in a high risk area, and all you have to do is do one click on your field, and then you can see it's got the red outline and all the units that you have on the policy that are associated with this view and this section, section 30, they all pull up under right here. So you only have the units that are tied to that location, which is really nice. And then as soon as I hit corn, we see it turns yellow for corn. I can put in my plant date. You can add your prevent plant acres over here if there was any. And uninsurable acres goes right here as well. And reminder, if you have any uninsurable acres, we always need an uninsurable reason. And it's really just that simple to report acreage in EASYmapping. And you go to your next one. And here is my field here. And see, this one is outside of the boundaries of high risk. So it is not high risk. And I can tell that my 2 units here are also not high risk, but the next piece I want to show you is what to do if you are in here and you've got your acreage report in front of you and you're going to town and entering all your acres, and then you realize, oh boy, I don't have a unit set up for this. You no longer have to exit EASYmapping at all, we've got this little button on the top here. It kind of looks like a green circle with a plus sign and maybe some planting rows underneath it. That's what it looks like to me. This right here, it says add or edit units when you hover over that. So right from in here, I can add a new unit. And if any of you used EasyWriter Pro before, this screen should look familiar. This is the same add unit screen as you would see if you did it the good old fashioned way right here on the back screen, just doing an add unit. So I can, right from within mapping, go ahead and set up new units, just like always, which I think is really handy, not having to get out and get back in. So you would just go all the way through here and add your new unit. I'm just going to go ahead and pick this section that I'm working in, which is 61 North, 6 West, and Section 1. Okay, and so I've just created a new unit. That's simple, and it will be right there when we go back in. Notice it said add or edit units. So you can even go in here and edit units that you need to. Let's say this one went to a sharing arrangement. So I just highlight the unit that I want to look at, and I went up to view edit unit. I'm not adding this time, I want to edit this unit. And you can change from right in here. So now this is changed to 50% with the sharer. And then the last little button on top is to show no longer farming units. So these are all units that have been marked no longer farming, just meaning, you know, for a while or for any reason, the insured's not going to farm that ground anymore. We've always kind of been a big proponent of marking them as no longer farming. Leases can come and go, and if they're ever able to get in on that ground again, then your units are already here, they're already established and set up. So I like this feature because you can get just a really good overview of the whole policy right from within mapping. And then we can just click that again if we want to hide it. So if you're ever unsure, do I need to set up a new unit? Or, you know, maybe there already was one because we think he had that section in the past. You can just take a peek in here in the no longer farming unit. So since we're talking about adding new units and I changed a share percent, I wanted to just bring up another slide here and talk just briefly about unit numbering. It seems like, you know, it's pretty simple, you know, unit numbering, you just set up a new unit and you put your unit number in there. And the only reason I wanted to call attention to it and show this screen today is because the way that you set up your unit numbers and what you unit number them can affect a schedule of insurance and premium. And what I mean by that is just, it can mean the difference between a basic unit or an optional unit. So it's really important, and underwriters are always willing to help out just to make sure that the units do get set up properly. They're kind of broken down into 3 little quadrants. The first one is the basic unit, and that denotes, it tells us what share we have, whether it's 100%, and then each separate sharing arrangement gets a separate basic unit, which is really nicely laid out down here. You see how each different sharing person gets their own separate basic unit. And then of course the middle quadrant, those 4 there, that's where we show optional units. So we've got 2 breakdowns here. This would be by section. Each section has their own optional unit, or even if you are in an area that has FSNs, different optional units there. So if you ever question on unit numbering, you could reach out to any underwriter or marketing rep and we'd be happy to go over it, or even share something like this that would be a helpful little hint sheet for you when it comes to unit numbering. I'll get off my unit numbering soapbox and come back into here. So I've added my new unit. So we've talked about how to add new units. So now I want to show you how to add new fields. So you do that in the Fields tab over here. So if your fields are, of course, within a location that you already have, You don't need a new unit. We just want to add fields to the unit. So I've clicked back over here to my Fields tab. And right now, and they all default this way, because we really are only looking at policy fields. So I only have fields that are directly related to this policy holder. So if they picked up some new fields and want to add them, what I've done is I've clicked on this little stack of papers over here called map layers. And then you can see for Sims fields right here, this is really the only one that I'm going to talk about today. Right now, you can see it's checked as policy fields. So that's all we see. And if you just click in the button to show all fields, then this is going to show all fields with CLU data within this view. So right from in here, you can select and add fields. It's not letting me click on these fields for whatever reason. Okay, let's just. There we go. Here we go. So I clicked on this 23.2 acre field. Sorry about that. I already had one clicked. So if I want to add that field, then you can just click on that and any other fields you want. And then this nice green plus sign here will zoom in to that field I selected. Gives me the farm, track, and field number and the acres. And I click save, adding my field in. Okay. Clicked back over to Acreage, and this is the section that I added my field in, and there it is. I did delete this field. Wasn't really my intention coming into this today, but it was the only way I could get the other field added. So you guys get a 2 for 1. So here we deleted this field that was originally in this little corner, and I added this one. So just to show you that you can manage fields within EASYmapping too. We can get rid of ones we don't need and add in ones we do need, and it's all real time, already fixed. When you come over here to add your units or to assign your acres to your units, all your changes are already right there. Okay, so then I wanted to just go back to the hamburger menu. And now I'm gonna kind of switch gears and really go over import prior year acreage. This is gonna be fantastic for rotational. And you know, so this is year 2021. So if I'm on a 2019, we would probably looking at pretty close to what the acreage report would be today. So you can pick any year that would be the closest to this year's planting, and we can. So I've clicked on 2019, and then I hit next. Show me all of 2019's acreage lines, and looks like those are corn. So this is all my 2019 information, and I just want to pull all of this in through the prior year import. And then of course, it's only going to bring in those planted acres that were reported. We don't pull in a plant date because that probably won't be the same, where the acreage really would probably be the same. So that is really, whoops, not that. That's really just what I wanted to show. I want to point out, if you're interested in using this, the import prior year acreage is here in this hamburger menu that I've gone back to a couple of times. But the other imports that I'm going to show you in a minute here, I'm going to walk you through those in Quick FTF. So let's jump over there. All right, I'm closing out of EASYmapping here. And now we're going to go to the Quick FTF, which is just one of these little lightning bolts up here that I've clicked on to open Quick FTF. And let's okay, so we've got import here, and the little arrow makes it a drop down. So let's first touch on Sims data. We can import Sims data. So I'm going to do that. I've got it available for this year, it says, but when I go in and click into there, look at the only crops I'm seeing is mixed forage. That's what I expect to see. It's only April, so there isn't any SIMS data for you there yet, but I did have some screenshots here, so I can show you what it would really look like. If you were to import SIMS, a lot of the import screens look similar. So here it's just bringing in all that SIMS data. So if they had already reported at FSA and it had FSA could send that data through RMA, then we can import SIMS through here. So this is just a show screen of how it would look if you hit the import SIMS. And then when it knows what unit it is, if there's only one unit available by FSN and by crop, it's going to auto put that in there. And then the rest of these, I need to tell it where it goes. So once you get to the next screen here and you fill in all your units so that it knows where to import your acreages to over here and hit finish. So importing SIMS is nice and easy, as you can see. And also you can import accuracy the same way. Now I don't have screenshots of accuracy. It wasn't as easy to come by, and it's in the same little place in this import. So I kind of walked through SIMS and accuracy, and then the last one is FTF. I like this one. It's just a good solid import of all fields that have FTF data. So now this isn't going to assign a crop or anything like that because it's just pulling in field data, and then you and your customer would get to go in here and assign which units are correct and put your plant data in. So I like the importing of FTF because it's going to do a lot of the work for you, because you could also actually just line by line add them manually. Once I delete these, I can show you how to do that. Some people just like to, get their hands on the SIMS 578 document and just key off of that. So we can just do an add, and then here's my quick FTF. So FSN, my tract, my FSA field number, you can do it this way as well. The only comment that I would have about using SIMS 578 for acreage entry is just to make sure that the acreage report matches. Sometimes, a SIMS field may be 20 acres, but if the insured only really planted 18.5, and that's what their acreage report says, we're going to want the system to match the acreage report. And then one of the other things I wanted to talk about is the acres not yet certified button down here. I just want to show that this exists in both places of acreage entry. So we're in quick FTF right now, and I'm clicking acres not yet certified. And being that we are looking at importing right now, this would be a good idea to practice in your offices. Acres not yet certified, we don't mean certifying at FSA, that's not what we mean. We mean that you don't have a signed acreage report yet. So whether you're importing a previous year's acreage or you're importing SIMS, and getting those first steps done ready for acreage reporting, but you don't have a signed acreage report yet, we recommend doing this check mark because they're not certified. And then your schedule of insurance will show as estimate, and it'll all pull in 0 premium until such time that you've met with your grower and you have that signed acreage report. And then once that's done, you would come in and make any little tweaks that you would need to and go ahead and uncheck it. And then it gives you a nice little warning here. By clearing the acres not yet certified box, you're indicating that we've obtained the signed acreage report, and it says do not check this box if no signed acreage report exists. Okay, and I wanted to just show you one more time. So that was in quick FTF, but EASYmapping has it as well in acreage. The functionality between those two screens, though they look very different, is pretty similar. You can do just about anything in both of those. So if you were in a map version here, you can also still click the acres not yet certified. Down here, see, same spot, kind of in the bottom middle here. So you can do it in either one of those acreage mapping screens. And If anyone was listening to Lester's presentation last week, he went over precision farming. It's going to auto check mark as acres not yet certified, because that's one of those situations where we're still waiting on that signed acreage report. So I just wanted to bring that up. Okay. And now I'm going to switch gears a little bit to companion policy. So I hope that helped kind of, hopefully I showed everybody maybe something new or maybe that they weren't sure of before. So I went over our EASYmapping screen and quick FTS and imports. And now let's just do a really quick little run of companion policy. If anyone's not sure or doesn't know what companion policy is, it is when you have two sharing policies. So when policies are sharers, obviously they're both sharing in the same acreage, and they'll have the same acreage and the same plant date. I just saw that question, and yes, I will gladly do that. Somebody asked if we could talk about what the update zeros does. So let's do that before we move on to companion. Absolutely. Okay, so I went over the acres not yet certified, but thank you to who asked this question. We also have update 0 acres on selected date. So selected date, it's referring to this over here. So this is the latest acreage reporting date on the policy. Now this policy only has the July 15th acreage reporting date. Other policies may have their spring and fall coverages both on the same policy. So that's where you'd actually want to open this up and identify what's the latest acreage reporting date that you are reporting for at that time. And then when you click update 0 acres on the selected date, what it's going to do is look at all my acreage lines with this acreage reporting date, and anything that I did not key any acreage on, it's going to put the zeros in all those other units. If you've ever been keying acreage reports on and you key one and you think you're done and it still says acres required as the policy status, that could be it, because we don't switch the policy to complete until each acreage line has acres in it, whether it be planted acres or prevent plant acres or a 0. So this, if you just click this and once you save and get out, it's really just going to take all the units that you didn't report any acres on and mark them 0, and that's what gets the policy to its complete status. All right, so this is my companion policy. And so I have the sharer, and I'm just going to put some acreage on this policy. And I want to make sure that I use the right units. Okay. So this corn unit 2000 is I know that my other companion policy is the one that shares with these units here. All right. So this kind of brings us back to one of the first things we went through. So I just clicked on these 2 fields, and we're going to say that these are corn fields planted today. I can't go anywhere in the future, so 428 will work for those. And then I'm going to have all the rest of these be soybeans. So you can either click on each field one by one. You can even do a click and drag if there's a lot of fields and you are knowing that they're all the same unit. There's all my soybeans. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and use this and update my 0 acres here. So at this point, I haven't done anything different. This is the same thing we went through before. I'm just reporting my acres, but my policies are already linked as companions. So you'll see when I commit this policy, even if I forgot and I didn't even know about the companion piece, EasyWriter Pro is going to let me know and pop this up right here. This is, do you want to transfer data to companion policies? So you get that nice little reminder once you've entered it on a policy that is set up as companion. So yes, I do. And so then this companion related policies little box comes up and it tells me, so this is my source policy. This is the policy that I was in, that I just did my acreage on. So this is my source policy. And then my destination companion policy, where I want to move them to, is this policy. So I'm able to view all this before I do anything, before I put acres anywhere, and I realize, yep, this is right, this is what I want to do. So then I clicked on transfer data there up at the top, and then this one gets even more detailed. This is where it tells me what my units are, what my FSN is, and what my source acres are. And again, I'm double checking, yep, this is exactly right. These are what I want to push. So then there's another transfer data up there at the top. And so now it's bringing me into my other policy. See how these are bold and italics? This is what we how we show something has had a change made to it and it's not saved yet. So it shows me that this was imported. Here's this nice little icon here. Hovering over it shows me that it was transferred through the companion data. And all I would have to do then on this policy is save and commit. So I just got all my acres keyed on this policy without actually keying those acres. So if you have any interest in companion policy, we have had it for a little while, but it's never too late. We can get those linked up for you this year if you have any interest in that. We've got a user guide and a quick guide all available to you, or underwriters and marketing reps are always happy to help. So one of the last things I wanted to show, and I'm going back to my PowerPoint here, how as an agent can you really quickly view, where am I at on my acreage processing? You've been keying and we're just not sure. So this is your agency dashboard that you see when you log into EasyWriter Pro. And we're looking at the key activities, which is down here in the bottom left quadrant. So my next screen here is showing us just that. So you can look at it on acreage level or production level, and it's a nice little chart that will show you exactly how far along you are. So in this case, we're 16.7% complete. And then this other lighter blue is showing you what is incomplete, which is the 83.3%. So this gives you just a percentage-wise on how far along you are. And then if you need to know, well, which ones are they? If you were actually to click on this lighter blue piece of this chart, it automatically pulls up your acreage required by policy here. So you could print this, you could email it, you can do whatever you need to do with it, but this is how you can, with one click, it really would just be one click. When you get on your dashboard and then you click on your incomplete area of this, it will take you to a up-to-date list of what is still incomplete. My very, very last thing is just really brief. I've mentioned that there is a lot of reference guides and user guides and tips and tricks. There's YouTube videos. There really is so much available to you if you wanted to learn more about any of the things that we have. So this is NAUcountry.com. And we are going to go right into the agent portal. And there's so much here in the agent portal. And then I'm going to go under training, the training one right here, and off to tips and tricks. So there are a great many tips and tricks resources here for you. You can also even over here up on the right, there's a little drop down of all the different categories. So you could really kind of focus and laser in really what you wanted to see more of. I'm going to click on Training Suite at the bottom there. And since we're talking about acreage, I'm just going to talk about the acreage training suites, which are right here. We've got Acreage Reporting Training Suite, which is the umbrella one. It has anything and everything that you would want to see on acreage reporting. Here we go. So here I am. Now I'm in the Acreage Reporting Training Suite, and I just think there's some really great things in here. We've got a crop calendar, so it can show you all your important dates coming up, final plant dates and late plant dates, and acreage reporting due dates. This is the quick checklist. We send that out usually every acreage reporting season, but if you wanted to just grab it from here, you can. And we have all of our very helpful YouTube videos and a whole agent help library. There's just a lot out here. I just wanted to draw attention to it for anybody that would be interested in that. And that is all of my items for today. I'm going to hand it over to Hope Floberg to go over a couple of other ways to report acreage.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Jenna. Great job. I am just going to share my screen here. Hopefully everybody is able to see my screen, and I'm going to go over with Field Insights. Let me quickly answer that question. So we did have a question on where to find the companion policy user guide. And so where Jenna just was in the acreage reporting training suite, there is a link to the companion policy guide in there. Also, if you take that exact same route that Jenna just took and you go to the training suites, there's actually a whole companion policy training suite that will start you out on how to link your policies, how to link your coverages, your units, and then how to utilize that for production reporting, acreage reporting, and even the notice of loss. So it is really, really great. So make sure to check that out. So the two items that I am going to touch on today, I am going to go over how to report acreage through Field Insights and also how to report acreage through your mobile device. So starting off with the Field Insights aspect of things. So this came in really handy last year when we really needed to practice social distancing with our producers. So a lot of our producers really liked it and wanted to utilize it again this year. And so it's something that we would recommend to you for producers who are probably a little bit more technically savvy, maybe some of your producers that are already in our Field Insights system. And then also, it usually works a little bit better on a smaller farm, but it's kind of neither here nor there, just depending on how they like to utilize it. So let's begin. We're out on our website, so NAUcountry.com. And the first piece of this is an action on behalf of your producer. So this would start with probably a phone call explaining this feature to your producer and how they can utilize it, because they are the ones that are going to be reporting the acreage to you. So I'm going to come out. We do need to have the producer have a farmer portal account so that they have access to Field Insights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by going into the farmer portal. I'm going to click right on that link. This can also be done on the mobile device too as a producer. So when you come in, this is what the farmer portal looks like to your producer. So they'll come in and right away up at the top of the screen here is their Field Insights link. So they'll click on that. If they have multiple policies with us, they'll all display here. We want to make sure that they choose obviously the right policy, but then the current year policy as well. So I'm going to click on that. I should forewarn, I'm in our demo system, so some of our map-based features in demo take a little bit longer to load, so it might just take just a moment here. But as Field Insights opens up to them, they're going to have field cards over on the left-hand side of the screen that just details out the location, the field acres, and then really a lot of different weather elements. You can see those just popped up here. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, they're actually going to see the map that has their fields on it. So they can select it, begin keying in acres either way. So they could select a field card on the left. When they do that, it's going to hone in on the field on the right-hand side, or they can select the field on the right-hand side of the screen and it'll bring you to the field card. So pretty basic. So I'm going to show you an example of both ways here. So I'm going to start by utilizing the field card. So again, I am the farmer and I'm coming in to enter in my acreage. So I'll come select this field card. When I do that, you see it zooms in on the field that I'm at, and then I'm going to select Edit Field. The area that's important to the producer here is going to be this user acreage area that's in the middle here. Now I'm going to add acres. So I'm just going to click that add button. I'm going to come down, select my crop. Now you'll see there is a lot of crops in here. We have kind of the most popular, like 9 or 10 at the top of the screen here. So as you can see, I selected corn. When looking at my field card, you can see my field acres here are 36.64. This is my planted acres section. So if I planted on all of that land, I can type in the 36.64. If I maybe just did, 35 of those acres, that's fine too. You just key that in there. Then I need to enter in my plant date, which I'll choose as today. Now there is this genetic diversity section here. This is not needed if you're just reporting acres. We utilize this genetic diversity section for when we're doing growth models and our harvest advisor. And so it's beneficial if you like to use field insights all encompassing for the weather metric portion. You can definitely fill it in. Otherwise, it's not needed for acreage reporting. So I'm going to type in 110 because I have 110-day corn, and that's what it's looking for in this section. I should let everybody know we're going to be having a Field Insights connection call. I believe it's the beginning of June that will cover all other areas of Field Insights. I'm just not going to go real in depth in them today because there's so much. So once I've keyed in that information, I can click Save on the screen. And now I have entered in acreage information for that field. Now, as I mentioned, I can also, I'm going to just zoom out here a little bit and go up a little here. I can also select a field if that's easier for me to, navigate through. So if I selected this field, you'll notice that that field now comes to the top of the screen at the left-hand side. You can always tell what field you're on because the first area to the left here is the field image. Again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click Edit Field. And this time, let's just key in soybeans so we have just a variety of examples for you. So again, my field acres here are 29.32. I'm just going to key in that I planted 28 acres there. And again, enter in my plant date. Here, soybeans, it's looking for something different for the genetic diversity. What it's looking for, again, it's all in this little informational box here, but again, we'll cover that in our Field Insights training. So I'm going to enter in that, click Save. Now the farmer would proceed to go through all of their fields, which is why I mentioned it's a little bit easier when you're doing this on a smaller policy. Once that farmer is done entering in all of this information for their fields, all they need to do is give you, the agent, a phone call and say, hey, I'm done. Do what you need to do to import in my acreage. So again, that's all the farmer needs to do. Now, you as the agent can come into the EasyWriter Pro system and you're going to want to bring up that policy. So I already have the policy up at the top of my screen here. I'm going to click on that. When I come in, I just need to endorse out the policy and you're going to proceed like you would with, like normal acreage entry. So I'm going to come into the EASYmapping window here. And we'll give that just a second to load up on the screen. And now this is going to touch on what Jenna was talking about when she was showing you how to import in SIMS or accuracy information. So first and foremost, this message is actually telling me that there is a submission. This is from my mobile device, and that's what I'm going to show you next, but it's a good indicator to you guys that I have something. If you ever do anything on the mobile screen, it's going to tell you here that you have information that's ready to come in. Okay, so I come into my window and I'm going to click on the acreage icon up at the top of the screen, or the acreage tab, excuse me. And I'm now going to come down to this acreage section down here. And I'm going to choose the import. Now here's that SIMS and accuracy that Jenna was showing you. Now you can see I have Field Insights here. Now, if my farmer had never done any acreage entry, this would be grayed out. I wouldn't even be able to access it. But I know that farmer keyed in information. They told me it was ready to go. Now all I have to do is click Field Insights. It's going to run through everything for me. import in that data. And now you can see over on the side here, lit up in green, is the views that that information came in on. So if you remember, I only did 2 fields, so that's why not everything is updated here. But let me click on view 3. So here is that field I did first for corn. It automatically knew by location to hook it up to the correct unit. So it's populated in my unit. It's brought in my planted acres and also my plant date. Now, if something was incorrect, I know the farmer keyed something wrong, I can edit it in here. And then also another key area to look at is the source. So the source over on the left-hand screen here is always going to tell me where that data came from. So it says Field Insights. I'm able to verify like, okay, this came in through Field Insights. It was my farmer that keyed it in. You know that information. So the other field that I did, I'm just going to scroll down here. You can see view 6 is also lit up with information. I'm going to click on that. Here's my soybeans field. So again, all your farmer needs to do is key in the information on the Field Insights side, let you know it's ready to go. You come into EASYmapping, choose Import Field Insights, and that data is going to flow into the system. Now, one thing that Jenna touched on earlier that's really important in this case is that acres not yet certified box. Anytime information comes in from Field Insights, this box is going to be automatically checked. Now, we know that the farmer keyed in that information. Obviously, they have a great idea of what they planted. However, we want to make sure we get them that paperwork and that the paperwork is signed before we uncheck this box. All right, so once that information is imported in, what we want to do is make sure we get them an EASYmapping production and acreage report to be able to view the information, make sure it's correct, and sign off on it. So I'm going to come up to the top of the screen. This was a question while Jenna was presenting, is where was that save button? So Jenna went over this add or edit units icon. Right next to that is the save button. So once your acres are keyed in, you can click save, and then you can exit out of this window. I should tell people, if you accidentally come up here and just click the red X to get out, it's going to prompt you to save, and so you won't lose everything in that situation. So again, here is my acreage summary for me to verify that all of that information is correct. Again, down at the bottom, it really specifies the acres are not yet certified. I'm okay with that. I click OK. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to click, actually, let me show you one more thing. I'm going to go on to this Acreage APH tab. You can see here my acres are now in on that corn and soybeans unit. Now I'm going to hit commit. I'm going to get 2 warning messages here. The first one is it's telling me that all of my acreage lines have not been reported on for acreage that is due on 7/15. So this Jenna's questions that she got earlier were so perfect leading into this, and that's because in this situation I did not click that that 0 acre box. I didn't want all of my other units to be marked as 0 acres because I'm going to do those on the mobile device. So this is okay. I'm aware that I have not completed all acreage for this policy. I'm going to click yes. Now I'm going to click new documents so that I can show you guys our smart sign feature. And now I'm going to hit commit on the policy. I am going to get one more warning message that tells me about the acres not yet certified. So this is just reminding me that my acreage in the system, it's there. However, it hasn't been signed off on yet. So again, just a forewarning that I'm really not done on this policy. So I'm going to click OK. Give that a second to think. It's going to pull up my documents. And I want to do an EASYmapping production and acreage report to get that sent over to my producer to be able to review everything, make sure it's good, and sign. So what I'm going to show you today is the smart sign feature. So for those of you who have been on our EasySign phone calls, you guys know that we have the capability to take documents in our system and be able to send them over to our producers to have them sign via email. The Smart Sign feature is available on all of our acreage reports and on our schedule of insurance documents. So I'm going to do send to EasySign. And the difference between EasySign and SmartSign is in EasySign, you have to populate and pull in all of your document controls. In SmartSign, it's already in there for you. So let me show you. So right now I'm on the EasySign screen. I have to select who my signers are. I'm crop agent. This is me. I need to go in. I have an email in here, but everybody is required to have a phone number. So I'm going to do a phone number. So I'll get that in here. Now, John Doe is my insured. He does have an email and a phone number. These are the only two people who need to sign on the document to have it approved. So I'm going to click next. It's going to generate my EASYmapping document, which does sometimes take just a little bit, especially in our demo system. But as I mentioned, when we come in, all of the controls that are needed, and when I say controls, I'm talking about signature boxes, radio boxes to be able to allow our insureds to be able to check yes or no on questions, they're already going to be on the document for me. One thing I should mention, a little caveat in here, is just because those controls are already pre-populated for you, that doesn't mean you can't change them. So if there's something in there that you are not requiring them to answer, you can delete controls. You can also add additional controls. So here up at the top, it's saying SmartSign has been applied, and you can see here, controls are already populated on the screen for me. Now the controls go into correlate to the colors of who your signer is. So here for the insured's acreage report statement, the insured needs to sign that, and that's why it's orange. So John has to sign it, that's why it's orange. Now, let's just say I know that they're a new producer and they need to check this box as well. I can still add stuff in here. So I'm going to click on John. I'm going to do an optional checkbox, and then I'm going to just click right there. So that you can see I can continue to add additional things, and I can also remove stuff. Now, if I go through here and I start editing a whole bunch of stuff, dropping new controls, and then in the end, I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have just left what was there. You can just reapply the SmartSign information and start fresh with what was in there. So I'm going to scroll down just to give you an example of the stuff that's filled in. So coming down on the statement page here, you can see again, these have already pre-populated in for me for native sod. There's also a text box available if they need to fill in any data. My signature boxes have been pre-populated. Again, remember they're color coordinated with who's signing up at the top. And then there's also check boxes here. That's for the agent to sign. So once you click finish on here, you as the agent are going to get an email, and the farmer is going to get an email. So both of those will go out. You do need to do a little bit of a security check. So when you click to do the document, it will send a text message to your phone to verify that it's you. Once you do that, you come in, you sign this information, and all of that is going to come right back out to EasyWriter Pro, come into the system for your underwriter to work it through the workflow. So you already have your paperwork completed. Pretty sweet, huh? All right, so that is the SmartSign process. So again, from start to finish, Field Insights, your farmer does the reporting within Field Insights. You as an agent import it into the system, and then you can utilize the SmartSign document for acreage reporting to get that sent off and capture the signatures that you need. Once those signatures have come into the system, you have a signed document from your farmer, you can go back into EasyMapping and uncheck that acres not yet certified box, commit the policy, and solidify the acreage reporting process. All right, so that is Field Insights. Next, I do want to show you, I'm going to cancel out of here. I do want to show you how to do map-based acreage reporting. So what we're going to do is I am going to quickly as I can, and I know we're at 11:30, so if you need to hop off, that's just fine. I'm going to pull up my my mobile device here to be able to walk you guys through Field Insight, or not Field Insights, acreage reporting. So give it just 1 second here. I just need to get a number up on the screen for you guys to be able to see my mobile device. And this is rather quick too, because I'm just going to kind of do a high level of how it works. Again, there's user guides on all of these processes in the system. So if you feel like this was far too fast, you can reference those user guides or reach out to your marketing rep and/or underwriter. Okay, my screen should be popping up here. All right, I am now on my mobile device. And let me just get that off the screen here. I am in the EasyWriter Pro, NAU Country mobile device. Right now, as an agent, I have my insured showing up on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to click on the insured that I'm working with right now to report their acreage. If there is only one policy that is assigned to the insured, it's going to automatically take you into the policy. If there are multiple, you would just select the policy on the left-hand side and it'll take you right in there. If you are on your phone, these areas, policyholder information, coverages, and actions are at the top of your screen on your phone. I'm on an iPad, so they're over in the right pane. I'm going to scroll down on the iPad here to get to the Actions section. In the Actions section, I have this Acreage Reporting option here, which I'm going to click on. When I do that, it's going to open up my fields, and you can see here, this is the policy I just used. So there's my soybeans in blue, my corn in yellow. What I love about the mobile devices, in the upper top left corner, you can see the total field acres, and then you can see what you've already reported. So if you're paying attention to that, it's hard to miss anything on the screen, which is great. So the first thing I do want to show you is up at the top of the screen, we have this kind of like a papered, layered look. I'm going to click on that and show you what's available in here. So here you can turn on your base imagery if you want to see the background information just like it is in EASYmapping. You also have the ability to see the SIM CLU data, which is what Jenna had showed you in EASYmapping, where you can select a field. And then you can even search for SIMS information by keying in the FSN tract and FSA field number. All right, so up on my screen to report acres, what I can do is I can begin by just clicking on a field. So we're going to come down and click on this field here. When I do that, all of my acreage information is going to appear on the right-hand side of the screen. What I need to begin with is by entering in a unit. So I'm just going to tap on that field, and I need to select, is this my corn or my soybeans? So I'm going to select corn. And when I do that, the next field is the share percent. So I did choose corn at 100%. Now let's just say I get in here and actually I have some land. This is land that I'm sharing with somebody. So this isn't the correct unit. If I go back up to this unit section here, you can see I don't have a corn at 50% unit available to me. In that situation, you're not done. You can continue working. You can actually choose no unit available, and you can proceed with entering in your acres. What will happen in that situation is we're going to want to make sure, and I'll explain this as we get a little bit further, but that we're not importing, that we're checking the acres not yet certified box. So once this data comes into EasyWriter Pro, we have the ability to add a new unit and then attach this acreage information to it. So we're not going to go through that scenario today, but the possibility to do that is absolutely there, and we design the system to be able to handle that. So again, I'm going to stick with corn. And really, all of the information is here for me. So here are my field acres. I do need to fill in a plant date. So we'll come in here, and April 28th is our day. I'm going to click OK. Here again are my planted acres. So let's just say I didn't plant all of those field acres. I actually just did, we'll say I planted 32 of those acres, but then 2 of them were prevented from planting. So my PP acres, I can fill in 2. I can also enter in uninsured acres, and then obviously I have an area to enter in the reason as well. My FTF information is located right here, which is the FSN tract and FSA field number. And then again, if I needed to enter in a multi-crop code, I could do so as well. Once I'm done entering in that information, I just click anywhere outside of that box. And I've now reported acres on that field. You can see it's now highlighted in yellow. Now, another option in here is if you come up to this hamburger menu in the middle, I'm up at the top of the screen, kind of at the top icon here. Let's just say you're looking at an unmapped report. You have maybe a SIMS report or some type of report in your hand that only has location information. You're not looking at the actual fields. You can come in here and actually report by location too. So if it's highlighted with the color, that means you've already reported acres. If you click on a line here, it's going to take you right to the field. And then you can just come over to the side here, click on that little like arrow icon thing, and it's brought up the acreage lines in here for me again. So again, I can enter in my unit. This time, let's do soybeans. Again, my share presents populated in, my field acres are there. I do need to enter in a plant date to specify that. We'll again pick today. This time I'm not going to change my plant acres. We'll keep it nice and simple. Once that information's in, I just click outside of the field on the side here. Now that is notated as being soybeans. So again, super easy to do it out here. So let's complete the process. This icon here will allow me to do remarks or comments if I want my underwriter to see something, or if I want the insured to see something on their document, it will print on the preliminary SOI. Otherwise, I can come up here and I can hit complete at the top of the screen. Once I hit complete, it's going to give me a summary of the information that I just keyed in. Looks like I have a little leg here. So here's the info that I just keyed into the screen. If that looks correct, I just click next in the top right-hand corner. If that's not correct, I can go back and click cancel on the left-hand side, but I'm going to proceed by clicking next. And now is the ability for me to enter in remarks. So again, notes that I want to have printed on the document can be filled in here. I'm not going to do anything right now, so I'm going to click next again. Have I broken native sod? I'm going to say have not here. This again is going to populate that data on the document that is going to come out of the system with my acreage information. And then I hit next at the top of the screen. And now this process is, now the insured is in front of me. We just entered in their acreage information. They are going to read through this information. And there is a reason why it's so long. They have to scroll down, and we want to make sure they read through everything. Once they have, they just tap down here to accept. Then they just need to fill in their signature here. Up at the top of the screen, they'll click next again. Now this is you as the agent. You just need to read through all of this great information, tap here to accept. And then again, you're going to fill in your signature, hit next at the top of the screen, and we're almost done. So here on this screen, we're just having to verify that the signature date that you both did this is today's date. So that's why that is there. Now, auto import and do not import. These two things are very important. Auto import basically means that all of the information we just keyed in, we feel great about having that go right into the policy, committing the policy, and everything's good to go. Do not import is going to pull it into the policy, but it's going to check that acres not yet certified box, because that means there's some further work or review that you want to do in the system. So that's what these two options mean. So I'm going to do an auto import because I feel good with all of the data we went over. Here's that set 0 acres. If there's any acreage that I have not accounted for on the policy, but I want the rest of those fields to be set to 0 acres, I'm going to click yes. And then as Jenna showed you, when you set that 0 acres, you need to specify, well, what what date are we looking at? This policy has wheat on it, so it's automatically showing me 12/15/2020. I need to change that to 7/15/2021 because I want it to be looking at my spring fields. Once I do that, up at the top of the screen, I can just hit submit, and it's going to start generating my information for me. Now, because I just utilized this policy in EasyWriter Pro, I have a hunch it's going to stop me on auto import just because I already endorsed and committed while I was in there. But what it will do is it's going to generate that EASYmapping schedule of insurance for you to review right with your insured. That you have the ability to print, save, or even view at a later time in your mobile device. You can go into policy documents and see that. If this goes through correctly, what it should do is auto import right into my policy, commit the policy, and we're good to go. Now, if you did the do not import, that just means it's going to go into EasyWriter Pro, and at that point in time, you just need to verify it, uncheck that Acres Not Yet Certified box, and proceed from there. And like I said, I knew I'd kind of get stopped here just because I was already in that policy and had it endorsed out. But otherwise, that is the process. Super nice and simple, especially if you're out in the field. It's something that I think both you and your farmers will really enjoy just because of the ease of it. And that is all I have. Jenna, do you have anything more you'd like to add?
No, I don't. Thank you so much for going over all that, Hope. It's great.
Absolutely. And I do see there was a couple questions. I don't know if I lost sound somewhere along the way. I do see some comments on that. So again, we will have the recording available if somebody did lose their sound. And then there was one question. Does the insured have to be enrolled in Field Insights to utilize the smart sign? No, the insured, so I showed you the example with Field Insights pulling into EasyWriter Pro, and that's when we use Smart Sign. However, you can use Smart Sign, especially on Acreage and EasyMapping SOIs, with any way that you do acreage reporting in the system. It's not just limited to the Field Insights way, and the insured does not need to be enrolled or have a farmer account to be able to utilize that. Excellent question. All right, that is all I have for the group. Thanks so much for those of you who hung on. Otherwise, have a great day, and I hope you join us next week for our Crop Hail Connections call. Bye, everyone.